Hello there. Welcome back to another episode of the Be English podcast. It is so good to have you here with us today. I am your host, John Miller.
And hi, everyone. I am Emily Carter. We are so excited to be part of your English learning journey. You know, our goal here is really simple. We want to help you learn English in a way that feels easy, encouraging, and natural.
Exactly, Emily. No stress, no difficult grammar tests today, just listening and understanding. We speak clearly so you can practice your listening skills and learn new words.
That is the best way to learn, right? Just relaxing and listening. So, John, what are we talking about today? I feel like we have a very tasty topic.
Oh, we certainly do. Today we are going to talk about a very traditional food. When people think about food in the United States or even in the UK, they often think of this dessert. We are talking about apple pie.
Oh, wow, apple pie. I love apple pie. Just hearing the name makes me hungry. It is such a classic dish.
It really is. It's famous for a reason. So, if you are ready to get hungry and learn some delicious English vocabulary, stay with us.
And remember, if you enjoy our podcast, please follow us so you never miss an episode. Okay, John, let's start. Tell us about apple pie.
So, let's start with the basics. What exactly is an apple pie? Well, for our listeners who might not know, a pie is a type of baked dish. It usually has a pastry dough on the outside.
Right. We call that the crust, C-R-U-S-T. The crust is made of flour, butter, and a little bit of water. It becomes hard and crunchy when you bake it.
Yes, the crust is very important. Honestly, sometimes the crust is my favorite part. But the most important part is what is inside. We call this the filling.
And for apple pie, the filling is, of course, apples. But it isn't just apples, is it, John?
No, not at all. If you just put apples in dough, it would be a bit boring. You have to slice the apples. To slice means to cut them into thin, flat pieces. Then you mix the apples with sugar.
Sugar. And spices. You cannot forget the spices. The most famous spice for apple pie is cinnamon.
Ah, cinnamon. It is a brown powder that has a very warm and strong smell. Apples and cinnamon are best friends in the kitchen. They go together perfectly.
They really do. You know, John, whenever I smell cinnamon, I think of the autumn season. It just feels so cozy. So we have the crust, the sliced apples, the sugar, and the cinnamon. Is that all?
Usually, people add a little bit of butter inside and maybe a squeeze of lemon juice to keep the apples fresh. Then you put another layer of crust on top to cover the apples.
Like a blanket.
Exactly, like a blanket for the apples. Then you put the whole thing into the oven to bake.
It sounds simple, but making a good crust is actually quite difficult. My crust is always too hard or too soft.
I know what you mean. Baking is a science. You have to be very precise. But when you get it right, it is magic.
Speaking of making it, let's talk about the process a little more. I remember watching my grandmother make pies when I was a little girl.
That is a lovely memory. What did she do first?
Well, first she had to peel the apples. Peel means to take the skin off the fruit. That took a long time. Whew, she would peel maybe 10 or 12 apples.
That is a lot of work. Did you help her?
I tried, but I was very small. I mostly just ate the apple slices when she wasn't looking.
That is the best way to help. Quality control. After peeling and slicing, you have to roll the dough.
Yes, you use a rolling pin. It's a heavy wooden stick. You roll it over the dough to make it flat and thin. Then you put the dough into a round dish.
And then comes the filling. You pour all those sugary, spicy apples into the dish. It looks like a mountain of apples.
Then the top crust goes on. And this is the cool part, John. You have to cut little holes in the top crust. Do you know why?
I think I do. Is it to let the steam escape?
Yes, that's right. When the apples get hot, they release steam. If the steam cannot get out, the pie might explode. Well, maybe not explode, but it would get very messy.
We definitely don't want a messy oven. Cleaning the oven is the worst job in the house.
Oh, I agree. So you bake it for about an hour, and while it bakes, the smell fills the whole house.
That is the best part. The smell of baking apples and butter. It makes the whole house feel warm and welcoming.
It really does. It's what we call comfort food, food that makes you feel safe and happy.
That is a great term, comfort food. Apple pie is definitely comfort food. But Emily, when do people usually eat this? Is it for breakfast?
Well, I have eaten leftover pie for breakfast before, but no. Usually it's a dessert. We eat it after dinner.
Right. And are there specific days or holidays when apple pie is popular?
Definitely. In the United States, apple pie is very popular for Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is a big holiday in November where families eat a huge meal together.
Yes, Thanksgiving dinner is huge. Turkey, potatoes, vegetables, and then when you're completely full, someone brings out the pies.
Ah, there is always room for dessert, right? Even if you're full. It's also popular on 4th of July, which is Independence Day in America.
That's true. There's actually a famous saying in English. We say something is as American as apple pie.
Yes, that's a great idiom. It means something is very typical of American culture. For example, baseball is as American as apple pie.
Exactly. It shows how important this food is to the culture. It isn't just a cake, it's a symbol of home and tradition.
So, John, here is a very important question, a very serious question.
Oh no, I'm ready. What is it?
How do you eat your apple pie? Do you eat it plain, or do you put something on top?
The big debate. Well, for me, there is only one way. I like my apple pie warm, right out of the oven, and I must have a scoop of vanilla ice cream on top.
Yes, I agree completely. We call that apple pie à la mode. À la mode is a fancy French phrase we use in English. It just means with ice cream.
The hot pie melts the cold ice cream. Oh, it is delicious. The mix of hot and cold and the creamy vanilla with the spicy apples, it is perfect.
Ah, now I really want some pie. Some people also like to put whipped cream on top, or even a slice of cheddar cheese.
Cheese? Really? On apple pie?
Yes, it sounds strange, but some people in the countryside love a slice of sharp yellow cheese with their apple pie, sweet and salty together.
I've never tried that. It sounds a bit unusual to me, but I'm willing to try anything once.
You should, but I think I'll stick with the ice cream. It's the classic choice.
I agree. You know, Emily, there are also many variations of apple pie. Like sometimes people add other fruits.
Oh, like what?
Well, sometimes people mix pears with the apples or cranberries. Cranberries are small, red, and very sour. They add a nice flavor.
That sounds lovely. Or sometimes, instead of a top crust, people make a crumble topping.
A crumble. That's simpler than a crust. You just mix flour, sugar, and butter with your fingers until it looks like crumbs. Then you sprinkle it on top.
I love apple crumble. It's crunchy and sweet, and it's much easier to make than rolling out dough.
That's true. If you're a beginner baker, maybe start with an apple crumble. It tastes almost the same, but it's less work.
That's good advice. You know, talking about this reminds me of how food connects people. When you make a pie, you usually don't eat it alone. You share it.
That is a beautiful point, Emily. A whole pie is too big for one person. You have to invite friends or family over to help you eat it. It brings people together around the table.
And that's what culture is all about, isn't it? Sharing traditions and sharing food.
Absolutely. Whether it's Thanksgiving, a birthday, or just a Sunday afternoon, sharing a slice of pie is a great way to show love.
Well, John, I think we've covered everything about the delicious apple pie, from the crust to the filling and even the ice cream on top.
We certainly did. I hope our listeners are not too hungry now. Let's quickly summarize a few of the key words we used today.
Good idea. We talked about ingredients. These are the things you use to make food, like apples, sugar, and flour.
We also learned the word crust. That's the hard bread-like part on the outside of the pie, and filling, which is the fruit inside.
We mentioned cinnamon, the brown spice that smells like autumn, and the phrase comfort food, which means food that makes you feel safe and happy.
And don't forget a la mode, which means served with ice cream. That's a fun one to use at restaurants.
Definitely. Try using these words this week. Maybe you can even try to bake an apple pie. If you do, please tell us about it.
Yes, we would love to hear from you. Leave us a comment or send us a message. Tell us about a traditional food in your country. Is it sweet? Is it salty? We want to know.
Please don't forget to subscribe to the Be English podcast and share this episode with your friends who are learning English. It really helps us a lot.
Thank you so much for listening today. It was a pleasure chatting with you, Emily.
You too, John. It was fun. See you next time, everyone. Have a wonderful, delicious week.
Goodbye.